Hello, this is Skylit Lake reading Kazekage's Friend by Monric Account. Chapter 4 Acceptance. Chapter warnings. Talk about possible sexual assault and slight manipulative behaviors. Of the three of them, Temari was the best physical fighter. It was good then that she was the one who was picking up the gaps in the brat's education in that area, and he would not interfere on her plans. It wouldn't do for Suna to teach the brat about diplomacy, and Kankuro was pretty sure the Seal Master would take over that front after this was over. It didn't mean that Kankuro couldn't find a way to make the Seal Master's life more complicated and give the brat more ties to Suna. The problem was finding what would be. Makeup was a good start, but too weak to hold any significance long term. Kankuro would need to pay attention and answer the brat's questions. They were excited while in his workshop, which is a good place to start, even if Kankuro wished to not have the children in his workshop again, for both their sakes. The kids and the workshops. No changes in the plan there. Then, path decided, and Gaara and Jiraiya continuing on their way to the Nightwing possibly. Kankuro continues his way down to the workshop together with the brat. He was yet again quiet. Kankuro still needs to pay attention then. "This is stupid," the brat mutters angrily, trying to wipe away the whiskers on their left cheek. "That's not gonna work. It's ninja coal. Not that easy to wipe off," Kankuro says, without looking back at the brat. "It's probably gonna take a few weeks to fade away. Maybe less for you," Kankuro thinks. "What? You didn't say that. I thought it was normal makeup," the brat shrieks, running to stomp in front of Kankuro, who smirks. "Ninja makeup can also take that long," Kankuro shrugs. "Yeah, but you can wipe it off. It doesn't stay on your skin like that. Yours was fine yesterday, and you redid it today," the kid accuses. "Was it?" The kid bristles so easily. Kankuro never really had the chance to mess around with any of his siblings, especially not Gaara. Kankuro's makeup did have a couple days to it still, 1 or 2. Kankuro didn't want to risk the paint ending up on his skin at some point, so he took a chemical shower, forcefully removing the face paint with the adequate solvent and quarantined the clothes he was using yesterday to a deep clean later. Not that Kankuro would tell the brat about the solvents that would wipe it out with some hours of work. He never claimed to not be mean at times. Yes, it was. You're messing with me. It was..." The kid didn't sound convinced with himself. "Don't worry, I told you. You look fine. Good job, kid. For a beginner." The kid's scowl fades to a wide-eyed, unsure look, staring at Kankuro, still refusing to talk, but more like they forgot they were going somewhere, instead of just being a brat throwing a tantrum. This is Kankuro's fault. Probably. The kid was staring like something impossible had just happened. It was unnerving. Kankuro holds back the curse that was raising in his throat. To himself or the world, it didn't matter. It wouldn't come out. Kankuro had forgotten somehow that this kid, for all that he was so different from Gaara, is still very much the same. Did nobody ever tell the kid that they did a good job? That they were good in something? Anything? Did someone ever tell Gaara that? Kankuro certainly didn't, nor did that man, and while Temari tries but she is afraid of him as well. She wouldn't have either. When would they say that? When Gaara was killing someone, breaking people's legs and spines for getting in his way? Kankuro's amused humor fades, leaving behind only the uneasiness that was more common in his life. Right, he has a job to do. Are you going to continue standing there? I have things to do, Kankuro says, bypassing the kid with steady steps. It takes a while, but the kid gets out of his stupor and runs again to catch up, whining. His workshop was a mess. Not all that unusual, but still frustrating when he needed a clean space so he could tutor the kid. His suspended puppets swung a little with the open door, mockingly. Not an option. It is one thing to help the kid with basic ninja abilities they were lacking. It is another to give them access to Suna's secret techniques that the kid wouldn't be able to use anyway. Not with that wild chakra of his, from what Tamari told him, while fucking admitting that she was training him, not just sparring. Brat. No ceiling scrolls either. Suna's style was very different from Konoha's. Kankuro's knowledge of the practice was also intrinsic to Suna's marionette secret techniques, not suitable for teaching, and a kid who would first paint his own face with harsh paints, then take a peek at the steels, was not someone worthy of learning it anyway. Kankuro passed by the table with his notes and calculation, and ignored the shelf of scrolls, glancing around again. What else, then? Oh, you're so vibrant today, the brat loudly whispered to one of the potted plants by the mortar and hanging dry herbs and flowers. The kid had said something about taking care of plants. No medicine. Kankuro was ass at it, and would need a control the kid doesn't have. But poisons? Poisons are complicated, and making it right without killing yourself in the process took patience. The brat wasn't all that patient. But they needed to learn. All ninjas needed to. And with how little that paint affected them, how fast it healed, the kid would have something then that others didn't to counteract the lack of usual patience. Initially. It's a good strategy too. If the kid was smart, they could have that to lean back on if their usual overwhelming close combat wasn't effective. Tamari had told him how close she came to losing because she wasn't expecting a trap after so long with only close combat to show. The good poison attacks were those you didn't see, don't expect until it's too late, and your muscles stop working or your breath gets caught. You like plants, brat? Kankuro starts. I told you that I have a name, the brat shouts. Kankuro winces. He hates that this is his problem. Truly. The Konoha Steelmaster would absolutely hate it if the brat took a fancy to poisons. Kankuro smiles. Perfect. Kankuro comes to learn that the kid can't deal with books and scrolls for long, but is quick enough when having tangible things to hold on. Ingenious and odd combinations that vary from extremely annoying to long-term and career-ending once they grasp the properties of the plant they are studying. The kid also seems to fixate on laxative effects in poisonings, showing how they truly have not grown up from being a brat with all the giggles, and to make everything as loud and eye-catching as possible. Kankuro made sure to not actually allow the kid to put any of his theories and possible concoctions into practice. They were sticking to theory only, with common tea brewing to keep the kid's attention when words and comparing pictures to the real thing became too boring. On the coming last 2 days of the visit, Kankuro and the brat were too busy, finishing the basic techniques needed before launching the kid into the world without his eye there to keep the paint off their skin. The decision of which scrolls and books the kid could take, what equipment, and the presentation of Kankuro's sparrow summons to the kid's frog's ones for letter sake. Kankuro didn't trust the kid to not find a way to put themselves in harm's way in stupid ways, if he was not checking in constantly in one way or another. Maybe he should just ask Misa, his smaller Saxol sparrow, to follow the kid. At least until they crossed sand. Too risky with Senin right there. Misa was good, but not Sanin good. She couldn't even follow Gaara on a good day. Kankuro only asked her once and almost lost her forever. During the confusion of reorganizing, there was a lot of heavy boxes to carry around the workshop. It was a hot day, the air stifling, and the brat was back to their original clothes, if a summer version, and a borrowed overlay to use outside. The shirts and vests forgotten to Tamari's old ninja bra. Kankuro, who liked to not think at all about whatever the brat was going on, was finding it hard to focus on what scroll would find better use on said brat's hand. Things he must pay attention to. The small window of time that the Konoha Sealmaster and Gaara were not stuck in the sealing room was more than enough for the second most infamous title for that man to show itself. A pervert, sneaking around to women's public bathhouses. Kankuro was sure the kid was a boy at Konoha, but he also spent a week with a prepubescent girl. Kankuro would not accept his charge walking around with a sicko pervert. He doesn't care how Konoha doesn't seem to mind. Kankuro did, Tamari did. Kankuro didn't need to ask his sister to know what her decision would be about that. I thought you were a boy. I am. Why couldn't this not be his problem? That would be more than enough if it wasn't his problem. Kankuro glances quickly at the kid's top and back to his face, disbelieving. Most of the time, I'm still me, believe it, the kid insists, blushing. Just sometimes, it's nicer to be like a girl. This looks more than like, kid. I've seen you go to bathroom. There is a very lacking part down there. The kid didn't even notice how that could be weird. Not that Kankuro cared much. Growing up closer to Mari than anyone else, and as a ninja, beyond his work on his marriage, modesty never took hold, and bodies were only bodies, especially kids' ones. That's because it's a jutsu. I made it here. The kid didn't even use a release or stopped organizing his things to be sealed away. There was the kid Kankuro grew used to seeing, and then another kid, very much the same, but taller, straightening the clothes, and had a more angular face, eyes less round. Kankuro blinked. See? The kid's voice cracked, making him, blush again. I also have, this time there were 6 hand seals. Horse, dog, boar, ham, hare. Clouds took over where the kid was, giving way to a late teenage girl. Naked. Kankuro blinked again, unimpressed. The brat, who was posing of all things, blinked back and scowled, releasing the jutsu again without any hand seals. No fun. Normally I get much more interesting reactions. The kid grumbles. Was that a genjutsu? It was a good one, if uncomfortable to see on his side. What? No. It's just like the girl me. It's still me, only grown up and way exaggerated. It's good to messing with anyone who's chasing me, but like, not messing as much. Can't fight that well like that. Kankuro did not blink a third time, but stopped what he was doing to look at the brat. You decided that it looks fun to be a sexy girl and decided to try to look like one, but your age? Except Naruto didn't try to look like anything. Hair the same length, no curves, no different wardrobe, just a normal 13-year-old brat. No? Aren't you hearing me? I'm me when I'm like a girl. I'm still me. That other version is not me. It's only a prank. Naruto shouts. A prank? The thing is, Kankuro can't lecture the kid against using it. It was good. It looked real. It seemed to even be real. That kind of surprise, the second you question what is happening, to process what you see, the reaction it would get from some people are all things that would change a battle. All things that could mean survival. On honeypot missions, being able to change your form to a complete different gender with all the desired proportions and possibly, if layered out with a Jinchuuriki, which is an easy thing to do without having to fight the jutsu, better for changing those minor things like eye color and hair color that was harder to spot. It was a good jutsu, an amazing one even, easy enough to learn. That was not the problem. The problem was... Kid, listen to me. Kankuro sighs to himself, the heaviness building on him, set on his shoulders unmasked. This is a good jutsu. Remember what I said about good poisons? It's the same. But being careless with it could end up with you chosen for honeypot missions at a very young age. Kankuro waited, looking for details that gave a person way, a shift of the eyes, a hand gesture. The kid is good at not giving things away, at least at this. Kankuro's skin itches. You know what I'm talking about. Kankuro affirms. The girls back home told me, the kid answers, looking back unflinchingly, but cautious. The girls of your class? He pretty sure it wasn't. He needed to know the details. It's what he does. From the red light district. It's close to where I live. Kankuro holds a swear, tired. That's why I asked Temari to visit the pleasure houses here. Did you go to the red light district much? The things made more sense now. While the brat was like any brat with crass humor and bursts of edginess, and I know what you're talking about. Kankuro hadn't seen any sexual interest while the kid looked through his marionettes, only curiosity. Now it looks very similar to the way Kankuro grew up to looking at mannequins and other people for inspiration. So you... I know about sex. I know what looking sexy means. I know what happens. I've seen it. I'm not stupid. I know what I'm doing. It works. I get away. Every time I get away. The kid shouts, voice cracking, and sounding so young. That doesn't mean one day you won't. People that this works with. The kid tries to cut him off, but Kankuro keeps going. Even if you know how to choose who wouldn't, you can't trust people like that. People are finicky, with little to hold the worst of them back on a bad day. As a ninja, you don't trust others. As a person, you don't trust the men that this jutsu works on to not try. And right now, I don't trust you to always get away. You're not my mum, or my brother, or anything. You don't even like me. Why should what you believe matters? The kid yells, cheeks red with anger, a protective curl to their shoulders, clutching the scrolls in their hands. You're Gaara's friend, and Temari likes you. They're my siblings, and it's my responsibility to take over what they can't. Kankura stares at the kid. They were small for their age, even now, like Gaara. They're too busy. Gaara is the Kazekage. Temari has a lot on her plate. I don't have the same responsibilities that they have. I can spend my days stuck in here without Suna crumbling. I can spend my days looking after you. The kid avoids a stare, sulking. You didn't say that you don't not like me. That's because you're annoying and a brat. That keeps getting into dangerous situations if I'm not looking after you for a minute, Kankura affirms ruthlessly. The kid predictably explodes with anger, and as loud as always. Temari is also so annoying. She just does things, and everything is by her rules. And he was so glad for that. He wouldn't be able to deal with half of what she did, and preferred not having to make the decisions all the time. She is such a brat, yapping away and stomping on places, taking everything to herself even when she can't even hold what she already has. Temari-san is not like that. She's kind and powerful and way better than you. She is an annoyance, and I've known her my whole life. Don't you think I would know better than you about what she is like? You've only spent, what, 2 days around her? I have 15 years, every day around her. If I say she's a brat, it's because she is. And way better than Kankuro could ever be. That brat was right about that. Gaara is another. He's terrible, a time bomb really. I wonder what would happen to his newfound pacifist tendencies if something happened to you. The kid pales. Good. They should know. Kankuro didn't trust Gaara. Wouldn't ever trust him. Possibly, but he knows his siblings. He knows what his little monster of a brother attached his sanity to. The brat should be aware of the weight of such responsibility. He's not, the kid grumples, unsure. He is. You've seen it. You know how he is. That was not him. It was, Kankuro shouts back, glaring. It doesn't matter if that thing was influencing him or not. It is still Gaara. He was going to kill your friend back in Konoha. Them both. You know that. Don't act like you don't. As a ninja, you can't be blind to that kind of thing. Gaara is a threat. One that is controlled now, and only because of you. Whatever the kid did in that fight to do that. Take responsibility for it. I will not see Gaara as a monster, as a relic or a time bomb. Gaara is my friend. That's what he is. The kid clutches his fists, glaring at Kankuro with hatred he hadn't seen until now. Kankuro smiles. Good. It would not work if he did. He was glad that his little monster of a brother had someone who would not betray him. I hate kids. Brats. I don't like you because you're annoying, and because I hate kids. Kankuro ignores the brat, muttering that he was a kid too, or his blinking bafflement. And you're Gaara's friend. That matters to me more than how annoying you guys are. It's my responsibility, and I will do my duties, and you will do yours as Gaara's friend, and not purposely, with no clear goals besides being a brat. Put yourself in danger or something you can't be sure you would win. that you wouldn't be able to kill it before it does something to you. The rat gulps but relents. Good. Let's finish this. I still need to show you the greenhouse properly, and I want you to teach me this jutsu of yours. It's useful. Hey fishies, how are you? How lovely chapter by Modern Cacand. Woohoo! Just a quick note from the author. And welcome to Conqueror's campaign against his arch enemy, the Konoha Seal Master, the legendary Sennin, and the incredulous pervert, Jiraiya! Yeah, I kind of hate Jiraiya as well. He's a bit too much of a pervert, a bit too over the top. Like, there's being a pervert, then there's Jiraiya pervert, and then there's Mineta pervert. I'm not sure Jiraiya is a Mineta pervert, but like, there's not enough info. Like, he's a grown-ass adult, but he's peeping on the bathhouses. But Mineta, some of his comments are no. What a break. Yeah, I'm having hot water because my throat is so sore. It's like a drying desert, fitting for how we're in a sand place for this chapter and whole series. Nah. Anyway, that hurt my voice. Anyway, I'll see you guys later, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.